So recently, I had a live stream where people were donating money, and it got to the point where someone donated and asked if I was going to make more Starfinder content, and my initial response was, no, I can't really afford to do it because they just don't get the same views as the rest of my content, so I can't afford to. And then they donated again saying, how much makes it worth it? To which case I went, okay, I see you. If we can raise, 700 this stream, we were already at like 600. If we can hit 700, I'll make a Starfinder video. We hit 1200. So, I'm making a Starfinder video. Because we crushed the goal so much, rather than making a video just about one class or one species or something like that, I'm making a video covering every single class in Starfinder. At least thematically speaking. Look, if I tried to explain the mechanics of all 12 Starfinder classes, this video would be like 2 hours long, and I know a bunch of you want that, and I'm sorry I can't give it to you. But what I will be going over here today is the basic premise, the basic mechanics of some of them, but overall just giving you an idea of what to expect if you play this class. Also, Ray is finally back to editing for the channel. Say hi, Ray. Okay, that's enough. Am I gonna make that joke every time Ray edits something? Probably. Alright, that's enough meandering. Sincerely, thank you to everyone who supports the channel, and those of you who support smaller content like this that may not be as universally loved, but I love doing it for you when I can afford to. So let's get into the classes. Also, fair warning, Ray, I have my script here, but it's going to be a little bit of like mini memorization between takes, so there'll be plenty to cut out, including this. You're cutting it out, right? Going in alphabetical order, we'll start with the Biohacker. The Biohacker is kind of like an alchemist, except instead of making potions and bombs, you're making tiny little projectiles called biohacks. These are tiny little creations that contain nanites and other spacey futuristic science stuff, and you can shoot them into friends and foes alike. There are two primary types of biohack. There are boosters, which increase the stats of the target, and inhibitors, which reduce the stats of the target. Obviously, you'll want to be shooting boosters into your allies and inhibitors into your enemies. These can boost things like armor class, skill checks, and even movement speed, and reduce enemy armor class or even reduce damage reduction. If you love the idea of constantly changing the stats at play in combat by buffing your allies and penalizing your enemies, consider checking out the Biohacker. The Envoy. This is your classic charisma-based Faceman, Spaceman. In a world full of aliens, guns, energies, and spaceships, you use words. You use the power of words. A simple quip, joke, or trick can bolster your allies and confuse your enemies. They basically get special abilities called improvisations. At the end of the day, this is very much your space bard, and these improvisations are their performances. Now, some of these do get really complicated, so bear with me. One of the most complicated ones out there is, get 'em! This is literally just Inspire Courage, and it's hilarious. I just love that it's named Get 'em. At the end of the day, this is your classic Skill Monkey Bard playstyle. You get expertise in a bunch of different skills, increasing your bonuses, making you a lethal weapon in every situation, except combat. But that's what your allies are for. The Evolutionist. Oh my god, the Evolutionist is my favorite class in Starfinder, and I've never even gotten to be a player yet. Basically, equipment is for losers. Why use a weapon when in the middle of combat you can transform any part of your body into whatever weapon you can think of? Right at level 1, any part of your body can become a 1d6 weapon, and it's not like there's a list of options. It's whatever you think of. You can have your arm turn into a sword, your leg can be a gun, you can vomit acidic projectiles or throw porcupine quills. This is all right in the book, and that's wild to me. The Evolutionist also has a really rad resource pool called mutation points. Now, you don't start with these like a wizard has spell slots. Rather, every turn of combat, you gain 1 mutation point. And as you gain them, you become more of a freak of nature and gain more benefits. And this is automatic. You can't stop this from happening. So as you fight, your movement speed is going to go up. Your armor class is going to increase. You're going to get some kind of benefit from your subclass, but your subclass also comes with a mutation drawback when you hit a certain number of mutant points. So if you want to play a super creepy, all over the place, genetically mutating out of control character, this is like the only place I could ever tell you it's possible. The mechanic. Okay, real quick, when I was writing this script, I realized that only 3 classes in the game start with a letter earlier than M. That means almost all of the classes are in the latter half of the alphabet. This means absolutely nothing, but I find it weird. Anyway, the mechanic. You don't need friends because you have an artificial intelligence who follows you wherever you go. This can come in the form of a robotic droid, a la XJ9 from My Life as a Teenage Robot, or an exo-cortex who lives in your brain like Jarvis from Iron Man. This AI gives you inherent bonuses to computer and engineering stuff. And it comes with a custom rig, which counts as every single possible set of tools you might need to interact with computer or engineering stuff. So not only are you better at using stuff, but you can always interact with stuff whenever that stuff comes up. And it's a space game, so there's stuff everywhere. Stuff! Aside from your stuff proficiency, you can also gain special abilities like hacking a computer at range, or even creating a freaking energy shield around you to take hits for you. Basically, you're an uber nerd. And that's just fine. The Mystic. Look, just because this is a sci-fi setting doesn't mean there can't also be magic, and the way that magic is explained in this system is super cool. In fact, it varies from spellcaster to spellcaster. One mystic might actually be granted magical powers by some greater entity, while another mystic just knows how to manipulate particles to make spell effects happen, and that's rad. Though honestly, at the end of the day, the mystic is just the cleric of this system. You get a connection, and this connection comes with special skills you're proficient in, as well as specific spells you can add to your spell list. Though it does also come with bonuses you gain as you level up, with some of them completely changing the playstyle of the class, like the Crusader connection literally just making you a paladin. You also get some fancy class features like Healing Touch, which is lay on hands but slower, and at higher levels, Infinite Telepathy, which is kinda cool. But otherwise, you're a spellcaster. You're gonna throw spells out, you're gonna do magical things, and you're gonna probably heal people along the way. The Nanocyte. What the hell does Nanocyte mean? Well, it means you have no special powers, but the millions of microscopic robots living inside of you do. You know Shino from Naruto? Bug guy? Guy with a bunch of bugs inside a guy? That's you. That's the Nanocyte, but in space. At level 1, your nanites can do 3 things. They can amplify your reflexes to make you a bit more mobile. They can create a cloud giving you concealment, or they can turn themselves into any basic weapon or tool to be used at your discretion. As you level up, your nanites gain more and more different uses. They can absorb damage, negate critical hits, and a lot more based on your subclass called your nanite faculty. Your nanite faculty is basically what your nanites are specialized to do. This can range anything from healing people to making your attacks deal more damage to eating people alive from the inside. Is that real? The operative. You know, I tried really hard to find an analogy for the operative in other games. I just could not think of a class that gets bonuses to skill checks, debilitates targets on specific attacks, avoids all damage on a successful reflex save, and deals bonus damage when certain attack conditions are met. Oh, duh! The Investigator! The operative is a really innovative take on the rogue. Rather than just needing flat-footed to get your trick attack, you actually need to succeed a specific skill check as part of that attack, and if you succeed, you get your bonus damage. The core specializations are actually pretty standard rogue fare. You've got your spy, you've got your detective, you've got your thief. I think my personal favorite is the ghost, because it's all about hiding, and you get an automatic cloaking field for free when you level up, and I think that's rad. Otherwise, you're a rogue in space. Go pick some space locks or something. Steal some space gold. Put it in your space vault. where you keep all your space treasure that you get from your space adventures, avoiding space traps and space dungeons to kill space bad guys in space. The Precog, dexterity-based spellcaster. Let me say that again. Dexterity-based spellcaster. The Precog casts spells with dexterity. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that because it's so cool and I've never seen it before. And that's okay, because this is supposed to be one of the weirdest, most paradoxical classes in the game. In order to cast magic, the Precog literally manipulates the flow of time to make things happen. And the reason they're safe from it is because of their subclass known as their anchor, holding them to reality. These anchors tend to represent different facets of time itself, like the future, the past, the present, or even memories themselves, which I think is an awesome take on time. Probably the most defining feature of the Precog is their paradox feature. During your daily preparation, you get to roll a number of d20 known as paradox dice. You set these dice aside for the rest of your day, and at any time when making a specific type of d20 check, you can choose to use the result of one of your paradox dice instead of rolling. So if you rolled a d20 that morning and you have an opportunity to use a paradox dice, you just get to say, I critically succeed. Now, these opportunities start really limited, but as you level up to level 5, you get access to pretty much everything. You can use paradox dice on attack rolls, saving throws, skill checks, a whole bunch of stuff. It's just cool to think that your character, whenever they do something, can find a different timeline where they succeeded. I just think the flavor of that is rad. The Solarian. Where do I even begin with the Solarian? You're a living star. I'm not going to go too deep here because I've actually made an entire video on the Solarian about 6 months ago. So if you want to know everything about this class from level 1 to 20, check out that video. The TLDR is, you're a star. You can go supernova, you can go black hole, you can do both. In fact, you have to do both, because if you take too many abilities in one direction, you become imbalanced and it's even harder to use your best stuff. You also have a tiny little star that orbits around you that you can manifest into a weapon or armor. The weapon gets stronger as you level up, and the armor layers on top of your existing armor, so Solarians can get stupid tanky. Honestly, this class is bonkers. If you want to know more, watch the video. The Soldier. You shoot stuff. The Technomancer. Okay, sorry. The Soldier also hits stuff. The Technomancer. If the Mystic is as to the Cleric, then the Technomancer is as to the Wizard of your fantasy RPG of choice, with some bonus technology just spiced in there. This is what spice looks like. You're an intelligence-based spellcaster who flings spells to take control of the battlefield and blow people up. Spell cache is basically drain bonded item, although it does get better at higher levels, and you have something called magic hacks, which make you a little more interesting. Seriously, magic hacks do some crazy stuff. You can use a spell slot to create technology, or you can siphon the energy from a weapon's battery to regain spell slots. I can just see a wizard who carries around a massive battery-charged weapon just so between combats they can grab the weapon and just restore their spell slots. And I think that's so freaking cool. The Vanguard. Wow, the Vanguard. I gotta say, when I read the name Vanguard, I was expecting a space barbarian, maybe a space paladin, but the closest thing I can relate it to is kind of a space monk. Let me try to explain this. Whenever you take damage, score a critical, use 2 move actions, or spend a turn charging, you gain an entropy point. Entropy points can be used to perform special abilities like dealing extra damage on an attack roll. Also, just having an entropy point increases your armor class. At first level, your subclass is your aspect, and this is an aspect of reality itself. Like, literally, your subclass is about a piece of the universe. Like, you can choose obsolescence, which lets you inflict automatic malfunctions on machinery, or momentum, which gives you massive AoE shove actions. There's so many of these. The reason I call this class a monk is because of their entropic strike feature. See, the Vanguard does not need a weapon, and they don't even hit you with a lot of force. Rather, they just touch you and infuse you with entropy, where in that moment you are either partially crushed or dissolved, taking a certain amount of damage based on their Vanguard level. This is horrifying. If you touch someone and deal enough damage, you can just Thanos snap them into dust. So you know what would be cool? A spellcaster who casts magic by literally ripping open the fabric of reality and reaching into alternate dimensions to pull out what they need. Wouldn't that be cool? This is probably the most complicated class in the game, and I'm going to struggle to get across what exactly they do. But I feel like they're best summed up by their level 1 Infinite Worlds feature. You conjure a bubble of reality from another existence. The examples they give are you pull a bubble of fog from a reality where it's foggy, or vines from a reality where it's viney. Look, there's a massive list of options available to you right at level 1. Ray, just put them on screen and you'll see why I'm not covering them all. The Witch Warper also doesn't get a subclass per se, but they do get what are known as paradigm shifts every even level. And these are some of the most meta, weird abilities I've ever seen, like alternate form. If there is a creature who was summoned by a spell or polymorphed by a spell, you can use your paradigm shift to switch them to a different option offered by that spell. So if someone casts summon animal and they summon a black bear, you can be like, that's not a black bear, that's an elephant! And then it's an elephant. And like, they even get weirder as you get higher in level. There's an 8th level one called alternate transport. If you're on a boat and you need it to fly, you can just give the boat wings and an engine. Or you need your plane to be able to drive. Congrats, it has wheels and a steering wheel for ground transportation. What is this class? Also, throughout all of this weird campaign warping abilities, they are still a full spellcaster, so they have all that to pull out of their bag of tricks as well. The Witch Warper is incredibly weird, and GMs, beware. If a Witch Warper is in your campaign, they're going to mess something up. Congratulations. You're all stranded on this planet, and all you have is a boat. GM, we're level 8, right? Yeah, this is a level 8 campaign. I give the boat wings and we leave! And those are the 12 core classes of Starfinder. There's a lot to go over here. Everything from simple shoot and punch man all the way to I touch you, you disintegrate man. I want to hear from y'all. What are your favorites? If you have or haven't played, which one would you like to play if given the opportunity? Because there's so much here. And again, I barely touched on all of them. There's subclasses. There's so much you can do with it. And let me know if you enjoyed the Starfinder content. Again, if it gets enough views, maybe I can justify making another one in the future, because this one is really fun. I want to give a huge shout out to Ray for returning to the channel finally, so we can have him back and his excellent editing skills. I want to give a shout out to you for watching and, of course, liking and commenting on this video, because of course you already did that, right? You already liked the video. You already left a comment below telling me all about how much you loved the video and how you did leave a like. All the while you've been subscribed for at least 6 months. That's all from me. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, no nat ones.